is about to happen once I read this bio. Timothy Gager is the author of 19 books. 19. I don't even have one. He's got 19. 19 books of fiction and poetry. Of his new one, Almost Bluing for X-Tra Whiteness, Charles Coe said, Timothy Gager can take a so-called ordinary moment and peel it like an onion, revealing layers of meaning that seem both surprising and inevitable. Pulitzer Prize winner writer Robert Olin Butler called Tim a genius of the quotidian, keenly observing the details of our lives and rendering them so that we can hear the deep pulse of our identities, of our pure being within them. In a review of the book, Cambridge poet, populist Lo Galluccio noted, the poet takes on other themes, objects, even humor. It's this bluing where the poet's ability to compensate for or distract from the underlying grief by looking at the world with some jauntiness and resilience. This is a marvelously composed collection that includes both the sacred and the profane. It's about love, loss, mortality, addiction, recovery, and survival. And it's both a good time read and enlightening literature about the state of humanity. Everybody put your hands together for Timothy Gager.
So many options: podium, stand-up, stool, chair. I'm just going to be half podium. I'm going to start with some new ones. Not in the book, then I'll go from the book. If the mind goes first, for my father. The body dying first, the same fate as smoke hiding a whisper, decaying in the light, the laughter from a dream. The contrary, the wailing divination trapped within the body's tomb, praying a conjurer can gift a spade so he can be seen as himself once again. Marcia said, she wanted a real man like John Wayne, a man who could beat up something. But John Wayne used to beat up women. Annoyed with some guy the next night, she went with him. A man who could beat up something. Getting hassled, I stood there still, annoyed with some guy the next night, she went with him. She decided to end it. Getting hassled as I stood there, she too left me, didn't want a man, so she decided to end it. Who was angry? The shadow of wrath? She too left me, didn't want a man, but John Wayne used to beat up women. Who was angry like the shadow of wrath? She wanted a real man like John Wayne. Reply to someone who has had a lifetime of losses. You deserve to no longer breathe in carpenter ants. The losses are like riding a wild Mustang. Sometimes you're thrown back on the horse. You always hated that maxim. The gate is open, the land's so unlimited. You say sometimes you wish to lie down and weep in the dust forever, the cactus, the mud on your dress. But you'd much rather walk forever or become a dirtbagger, getting as close as the wild horses will let you. Try to breathe in kindness. The Mustangs always run. The ordinary. The sky today is watercolor blue. The clouds, simple routines shared, each passing hour, coffee steams, cooling after every down section of the Sunday paper. In the kitchen, the rustling hum of the fridge is a friend hanging on, an almost broken companion, as reliable as the lawn chair neighbor who always forgets to trim the hedges. Yet, you and I, side by side, our soft silence is the weight of a paper-thin cotton garment. So this book came about, a lot of the poems were written in 2022 where I had a really, really bad year. And things are better now. I had a shit day today, though. But things are, it's one of those days that like everyone's just fucking mad at you for no reason. So 2022 was kind of rough. So that's the only explanation I can give you. The poem kind of explains it. I didn't want to call the 988 operator late 2022. Don't look up, the movie about the world ending, but watch the end. Meryl Streep is eaten by a dinosaur. You said weeks later at the farm we stayed at in Maryland, that was one of the good things from the year, and I said my last goodbyes to my father on that same trip. He died a week later, as did my demeanor. Then you left, me pacing the living room floor when all I wanted was solitude. Walked to the kitchen, then back. My head became thick and black as night. I didn't want to call a 988 operator to discuss the Cretaceous Paleogene extinction event instead of how I felt. But I did. I called a 988 operator who only suggested to get something off my chest. But there wasn't anything on my chest. I know because I just looked. For my friend Sean, who died after my pet rabbit did, I wished myself extinct, like the Brontorok. This very night paced back and forth, the back and forth. That was a time, one day at a time, left me right here. Dependence. Yeah, my mother died in 2019. My father died in 2022. My mother lay in bed, pushing the buzzer till no one came. In 2 years, they still are not in time to check on my father, more than sleeping in a chair. We see places like these even when we're suffocating. I confess to my children, so much depends on what I'm about to say. Listen, smother me with a pillow. Don't worry, no one will come. And until they do, and when they finally come, it will be too late. What cannot be fixed? The Alzheimer's dream of my father created a matchup between Syracuse and Penn State. Football on a mud-soaked lawn outside the window of his hospital room. We were there, visiting, driving over the George Washington Bridge, then something broke in the wheel. All seemed bound by brittleness, lacking adhesion, cracked, held by weak glue. 2. We, always so attached at the hip, standing by his bed that very last time, holding on tight as worlds were tumbling. How could our feet stay on the ground? I can still only imagine the crumbling of paper. It sounded like Dad's hip breaking. My discarded love poem crackling when you threw it in the fireplace. The axis of the earth shifted. Every burnt ash flew away. After you go, we send to the sky our grief when writing letters to the deceased. We know where Joe DiMaggio go, but that's not real. No one makes our longings into a song or into a flower or sugar. It's simple, Simon. God cares for the loved ones, even though we're the ones needing it, left looking up with paper and pen, praying the messages received, if impossible to address. So that's the blue section of Almost Bluing, which is pretty blue. And this is the extra white section, which is still pretty damn sad, but it's more about social consciousness. Reflections, a 17-year-old drug addict 40 years later. The guilt after I slipped ginger root into my pocket at the market, easy enough to pay, hard because it's difficult to quit what I've always done. I wanted to stop speaking badly about people and places, inciting thin concentration within the blue thoughts, while isolated into the lonely, empty echo of lunacy. Remember our bodies craving this contact, a hammer on nail, fused wooden support beam, striking of permanence. God, give me a chance to beat this one day. On that tomorrow, I started clean. How to extinguish a raging fire. Shoot up to wash away the pain. Cover the ache. The sleeve wears a smashed up heart, a wave of the arm, if only crossing out to add the name alcohol, never preventing years and years of erasing. I said at a meeting, we no longer drink or use anymore. Anyone, me, watching speeding trains decimate stalled vehicles from hole to debris. If you're stuck on the tracks, I can't yell a warning. Too late every time, like a tweezer pulling a thorn out of your bicep. It's already there. Stop adding. Start subtracting. Tennessee Songbirds. Real dreamers hit the stage, 10 a.m. Nashville, wordsmiths warble, crooners croon, honky-tonks honk, hone-in coffee can tips. A DC couple by us says, anyone can do this, while a homeless man walks into a bar to beg, bounced, berating, I'm no worse than the rest of you. He's probably right about this, no matter who you think you are. Everyone struggles up and down Broadway. They are back again after dark for their music. Chirping loudly tonight, the Tennessee Birds produced their music so strong outside the hotel room window, the Real Feathered Friends singing way too early this morning at 5 a.m., tired sun rising, and cannot defend against their song. Found in a basement in Dorchester. This is late 2022 as well. This was sort of the last straw. This is a guy that I sponsored in this narcotics program. Sean, found beaten by a bat while wearing fishing gear, not there to fish, there to reel in opiates, not there to fish or to be bludgeoned, making a final request in an unfinished basement not to be bludgeoned while wearing fishing gear, to reel in opiates, not to be bludgeoned, his final request. Not for me. This is from the red section. Flashbulb of a lightning storm. Lying, I recall spinning Jenny, her hair I wanted to weave, weaving loose to tight, a devourer in my face, a starving dog buried in those curls. Standing, untwining our interlaced fingers, freed now to sip a drink, shut down the fan, my sweat stops drying, I saturate, sinking into your bed, am I now this high? Into the silent sea. I got a few more. I feel like I'm reading really fast. It's so quiet down here, so quiet you can't hear the rage on the seawall. Feel the twisting turn of your stomach, the nervousness of nobody home. The moon was not full today. It was shaped like a heart, seen from the bottom, light diffracted in a way that made you nauseous, spun down amongst lanternfish, cookie-cutter sharks, bristlemouths, anglers, and viperfish, some sort of eel pout. Nobody likes you, you say to them, but you are here too, like an incredible ship, sunken and abandoned. I'm going to read one that, this one was nominated by a pushcart. It was nominated by a pushcart. Awesome. Over in the Boston market, this pushcart just came out and nominated this poem. It was a speaking wooden wagon. On my gravestone, my epitaph's going to say, he thought he was hilarious. Star Island, Night 1, 2024. The vessel delivered us, circling seagulls dotted around the island's hotel. A hung picture, this, white gull, blue water, the calmness of the completed. Back home where excavators roar, they survive to make noise, digging 6 feet down, covering up serenity with the dirt. There's not kindness to this burial, ignoring what we have laid down. Tonight the water laps in polite clapping, while a bird joins the choir, his tone perfect, a piece of the congruence. Swiftly, the flash of, can this be real? Damn, it can be. And the last section is bluing, and the bluing section is humorous, but I think so. The bluing section is what I think to be humorous. This is to all the roast beef shops in Massachusetts. Almost famous. Roast beef shops here tout their fame, and shit, their parking lots have potholes that will never be famous. See? Trees lush, not famous. Beautiful full moon, not either. Green grass conducting wind dance in spring. Drops of rain weeping into parking lot puddles, not and no. single, unique snowflake, twisting down like a knot, can be famous. Stumped by this? Phone a friend. He's never heard of Brothers, Athas, Millers, Kings, Jimbos, Angelos, Bill and Bob's, or Nick's, all most famous.
I bet they heard of Kelly's, though.
I'm going to close with the last poem in this book, and it's I invented this new poetry form. It's called the $25,000 pyramid form. If you know the $25,000 pyramid, the final round, they just kind of give you a list. Things you find in Miami Beach. A folding chair. A silicone enhancement. A lighthouse. A cooler filled with ice. A sandy leaseholder. A non-judgmental beach ball. A hairless cat. A large man smoking a cigar. A colorful, flip-flopped girl, hot as fuck, white sand. A large Corona blanket. A cooler than me person standing at an all-night dance club. Thank you so much for listening.
Woo!
Short, you guys. I'm not used to this. Anyway, please keep it going. For our amazing feature, Tim Gager. Buy his stuff. Support artists. It's important. Otherwise, we get stuck doing day jobs and we get too bored to do things. Anyway, I have a list here. Who's on it? Could it be the woman who has been sketching my boots and socks, thinking I wouldn't notice? Lisa Sears.